Hello and welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Adam.
We are back together again. The
Woo.
last you might have heard of us, yeah, might have been together too. I can't remember. It's been a while. Life happens.
Yeah.
But we initially had the idea we were going to do Creep Show, but we're still going to do that at some point, of course, because Adam hasn't seen it yet, and he has to. It's just
Yeah.
it's like horror law that you got to watch Creep Show. But instead, we figured we'd go a little lighter this time, kind of wing it, and do My Bloody Valentine, the original. This was Adam's. I guess I don't know if it was a request or idea. I guess idea. It wasn't really a request. I don't know, but
Just kind of threw it out there.
yeah, because I didn't know what else and whatever. But we're gonna run through a couple of fun facts and pretty much just talk about some of our favorite parts of the movie and favorite kills, and certain parts of the movie I might go into more detail, but for the most part it again won't be exactly like we normally do, and I go like pretty much scene by scene with some movies, but as me and Adam were just talking about, not to take anything away from it. I don't know why I stress saying that. I don't know if somebody would even do that, but
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot to My Bloody Valentine, but not in a bad way. Like, it's just pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely fun. It's definitely, in my opinion, and especially with the thousands and thousands of horror movies that I've seen, I think it's one of those slashers in the 80s that's kind of underrated. Like, like, people mention it, but, I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but
Yeah. Talking to people, it never really comes up, or if it does, it's usually the remake.
right. Which is a good thing to say because at some point I'm definitely up for doing the remake as well. I'm not a huge remake guy, but I know you really liked it and I really
Yeah.
liked it, so we definitely do that.
Yeah. I was surprised with that one, so I'm definitely down to do that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and also, I wanted to say, being October, I'll probably be posting quite a few podcasts. At least that's my plan. Sometimes shit happens, but I have like different list ideas and stuff like that for like solo ones. And if me and Adam can get together on another one or two, if we can line up, that'll be cool too.
Yeah.
But we'll see what time. So see what time tells, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um,
I will do my best, but work is still.
Absolutely. Right.
Ugh.
Even if we can do one more
Yeah.
throughout because I'll definitely be doing one with my wife, Jen.
Nice.
She's been really wanting to do. We actually have two that we want to do, and normally I'd be like, I'm not going to say anything yet, but these are definite. So at some point, this one I don't know if it will be in October, but maybe. She really wants to do They Live, which is one of her
Oh.
favorite horror movies. Um, if you want to join in on that one, that might be fun. Whenever we are able to do that, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Um,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, that would be awesome. And then she could kind of be our guest, kind of thing. Um, and then a big one that we're going to do that will be a bit of a longer one is we're doing kind of separately, but on the same thing, if that makes sense. That's stupid to say. I don't know. I'm a little rusty. Um, our top favorite in order of our favorite, Friday the 13th. So that'll be a fun one. Then I want to get that done sometime in October. That'll probably be later October because we're gonna rewatch them all again. Even though we've watched them so many times, we have an idea. But you never know, because the box set is coming. I just got my notification from Screen Factory, and I'm, me and Friday the 13th, so I'm a bit excited about that, to say the least.
Yeah. That's awesome.
There's tons of new special features. Two of the ones that aren't even people that worked on the movie, but I'm still geeking out about. I'm like, awesome. So Adam Green and Joe Lynch already years ago on the DVD did a commentary on part 4, the final chapter, but they did a commentary on part 5, which they took from their podcast. when they do their Yorkie-thon. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But there's a slew of stuff, and some of them are remastered from the last box set, which I have the tin, but I never liked the just how it was, because it was one of those classic things where you pay a lot for a box set and then you get your fucking discs in sleeves. And with movies like those, I'm gonna watch them a lot.
Yeah.
But I watched it a little less because I'm like, I don't want to keep taking them in and out of it.
Yeah.
So just a
I hate those
cardboard.
things.
Yeah. Oh man. But that was a big deal. Now that's kind of becoming obsolete and becoming much cheaper for the people that aren't quite as big of a fan as I am. So the new box set is going to be in a really cool box. If anybody has ever got a Scream Factory box set, it's a really cool, like, hard cardboard slipcover box that fits all the movies in it, and every movie is in its own case. So that's going to be awesome.
Nice.
That's my little, I guess, infomercial for Friday the 13th. That was off basis, but I wanted to mix it up this time because I don't have a lot for the movie.
Yeah.
So, one other one I would like to mention, like I said, I was going to be doing lists, and I'm going to be doing, and again, you can join in on any of these, even if it's not all of them. It's cool, like, whenever we can line up. I know it's been done, but hey, I haven't done it. My top 10 favorite horror movies of each year of the 1980s. So
nice.
I'm about 3/4 of the way through the 80s. So like in my head and in my notes, like I haven't recorded anything, but that'll definitely be fun. So I'm gonna try to get some of those done in October as well.
Nice.
So if any of those, all those, whatever, you're more than welcome to join. I just come up with things when they're like, you're not available, and I'm like, well, I want to do a podcast. And lately I've kind of been slacking and so busy with, because I'm like Mr. Mom now, and we're back to school, but my kids are doing all home school, like remote learning. So I'm kind of like their assistant teacher. So it's pretty busy. And then just usual family stuff piled on that, and I gotta fit in my movies. You know I will, even if I don't sleep.
Yeah.
Gets me into trouble. Sometimes I sleep for a day, but those are the breaks. But anyway, I also talked to Adam beforehand. We'll jump into the movie My Bloody Valentine, the original from the what year did it come out? Do you have that?
1981.
Is it the early 80s? I knew it was early. I just couldn't think. See, I'm winging this one. I kind of just, because of all that I've been busy with. Usually, me, I'm like, oh, I've been ready for like 2 weeks. No, I literally did this right before the podcast. So I'm gonna do my best. But Adam has a couple of facts, because sometimes we have the same ones, and I said if he didn't mind, he can go ahead and go first. If you're all ready, go ahead.
Yeah. The big one I wanted to throw out was apparently this is Quentin Tarantino's all-time favorite slasher film.
I did see that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So that one, it kind of surprised me. I such a big director of all the movies. This is the one that he loves. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I found that interesting too. The funny / cool thing, it's like kind of both, that I feel with Quentin Tarantino is, one, he's kind of that director that's almost like lumped in with, not saying he's the same kind, but like a Rob Zombie, where people give him a lot of shit because of his style and blah, blah, blah. But I know you're on pretty much the same page. I like it. People take it like he's ripping off this or that. I just take it as he's a fan of that stuff, and nobody's making movies like that anymore. Yeah. So who cares?
Yeah.
I love his movies. He's one of my favorite directors. And when I heard that, it did surprise me. But then on the other hand, I also heard the other people, the internet troll people that are like, well, yeah, of course it is. Every movie is his favorite. Shut the fuck up. Just every time he mentions a movie's his favorite, that's what they go with. Like, oh yeah, every movie's just shut up. But opinions are opinions, but you're just being
Yeah.
an idiot. Just shut up. Oh no, I said bad things, and certain people might not listen. Well, if you're still listening at this point and you've heard me rant before, then you're just fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead with your second one.
The only other one that really caught me was the mine that they filmed in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
They went ahead, they found the mine, they loved it, they wanted to film there, and then the town got together and spent a ton of money to paint and clean up the mine and make it
Oh
pretty,
yeah.
and they had to spend I think they spent like
So
$75,000 of
much
the
more,
budget
dog. Yeah.
to get it back to what it was.
Like, no, we wanted it filthy and looking
Yeah.
like shit. What are you doing? Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, we
Like,
appreciate it, but oh.
yeah, I
So
remember hearing that too. That's
yeah,
awful. But it's definitely cool that it was real mines. It wasn't a set or anything. But then at the
yeah,
same time, it probably was cheaper. This is a low budget movie. Yeah, it was on Paramount and everything, but so was Friday the 13th. But even Friday the 13th are low budget movies. They just happen to be on a major studio.
yeah,
But that was always a weird thing with them. Like, they wouldn't necessarily give them much more money, like some of the slashers, but at the same time, they knew they were going to bank on it. So it's like, that's kind of like weird to me. But at the
yeah,
same time, on the other hand, maybe it's good that they were really low budget because they don't look all polished. And like, I prefer movies that are more independent looking.
yeah. It's got that grittiness that like somebody took the time to make it, and it's what they wanted.
Exactly. It's definitely cool to see that because I don't think so. You don't really see that as much like as of late or like the past 10 years or whatever with major studios when they do horror movies. Usually they're big budget, like horror, like The Conjuring or whatever, which
Yeah,
is fine. I'm into those too, but I just saw the 80s was a different time. And again, I'll get into that when I do my 80s, my 10 80s episodes, but that's my favorite decade. But I know some people say 70s, but 70s is my close favorite, but I love the 80s. 80s is my decade for sure for horror. Okay, I'll say a couple of mine, and then we'll kind of get into the movie. I just started puberty. Get into the movie. No, because yeah, I just say that because it's going to be a little different. That's why I was kind of filling time here. Let's see. What do I have? This one was a little interesting. It's similar to yours, but it's about the underground mines. It's getting late. Sorry, and I can't say words. The film was shot in authentic mines, which were often as much as 900 feet underground. Only certain lighting devices could be used in the mines because of the potential danger of methane explosions and shit like that. The folk ballad that plays over the ending credits was added by the composer as an afterthought. That's another interesting thing because I personally think that goes super well at the end. Like it's folky, it's different, but it almost like in a way it's talking about the movie and talking about Harry and like I like it.
It's got a little bit of a creepiness to it.
Yeah. And it goes well with the absolute ending too, which I'll get into when I get there. According to makeup artist Thomas R. Berman, one of his gory creations was realistic enough that the director, I'm going to butcher his last name, but I'm going to try. The director, George Mahalka, threw up at the sight of it.
Jeez.
So, that's interesting. Guess he's not used to horror.
Yeah.
But that's another thing you had in those movies that as much as I love them, and it doesn't take anything away from me, thankfully. A lot of people in that 80s like boom of slashers and stuff weren't actually horror fans. It was just what they were given because it was the big thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can tell, in my opinion, when somebody is a horror fan and somebody is kind of just like hodgepodging it and just cut and paste putting it together. Like
Yeah.
personally, I can tell. Sometimes they're just that good of a filmmaker, but sometimes I can tell when they're not that big of a fan. Okay, I'll say this one more thing, and then we'll go through a couple of different things. I'll once I finish this, if you want, we can talk about. I'll start, like I said, I'll start where I was at with the movie, and talk about different favorite parts and kills, and we'll go from there. Um, as the director has stated many times, roughly 9 fucking minutes of footage had been cut from My Bloody Valentine to secure an R rating instead of an X rating by the MPAA. I'll keep reading, but another sidetrack note. I miss us getting sidetracked. For the past couple, we've been like straightforward. I want to go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I say that in joking, and yes, it's ridiculous. And there's a whole documentary about it. If anybody's curious, it's called "This Film Has Been Rated." I don't remember the full title, but this film has been rated something. It's about the MPAA. Yes, in America, the MPAA is a pain in the ass because people that do submit their movies, they won't tell you what has to be cut, but they'll kind of push you in a certain direction, but they won't tell you what has to be cut. So in return, you get the movie submitted a stupid amount of times. At least, though, in that time frame, like in the 80s and the 70s and stuff, and even the 90s, really, because we've talked about that a little bit, and I've actually done 2 podcasts about it. At least we weren't like the UK, and they literally got your movie, gutted it, and put it out. They didn't ask you. They didn't do anything. This is what it is. We're cutting it ourselves. Fuck that.
That's ridiculous.
Let's see. Where was I? Instead of an X rating by the MPA, in result, most of it is not all gory scenes that had been cut by the MPAA because of the backlash against Friday the 13th. In the 2009 special edition of the movie that was released, most of the gore footage was put back into the film, and only footage missing is on-screen implement of Michael and Harriet. That's interesting because I don't remember that. This is a fact that I'm reading that I only knew part of, and I'm kind of going back and forth. But I remember it being a special feature. Anybody listening can correct me if I'm wrong. That's cool. Honestly, I think the only time it was uncut is when Scream Factory put it out, which I will mention right now is the cut that I watched, and they did finally put back all the gore. So that was good. So that goes on a little bit more, but I guess we can get into the movie.
Yeah, well, I have one quick sidetrack for our sidetrack.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sidetrack for a sidetrack. We're going to do a whole episode called Sidetrack.
Sidetrack.
The whole episode is just sidetracks.
Oh, man. The one thing about the MPAA that's annoying is the whole system is voluntary, and a lot of people don't realize that.
I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah, but
you might have got me again, Adam.
It sucks though because the way the film industry is, if you don't follow the MPAA, the chances of your movie getting any kind of release are slim to none.
Oh wow.
So if you want it to be shown on a screen and across the country, you basically have to give in and just do it.
Yeah, exactly. I know off the top of my head, I know Rob Zombie had to do that with House of a Thousand Corpses to get an R rating because he submitted it numerous times, and like I said before, they won't fucking tell you. They'll just be like, yeah, it has to be this. Nope, it's an X. You got to cut it. And he's like, well, what do I got to cut? And it's pretty. They don't say this, but it's pretty much like, well, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't even know. Because I've heard, I'm not quoting anybody in like particular just because I can't think off the top of my head, but I've heard of directors that have figured out what it was, like specifically, or in a roundabout way been told, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll cut the movie, they'll cut something else, or just not cut it at all and resubmit it again and get an R rating, or get a different answer about something else. So it's almost like you said, because it's voluntary. When they resubmit it those different times, could it just be different people watching it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know exactly. I'm just guessing, but
I could see that.
that's crazy. But yeah.
Or they just kind of go on like blind faith, like, yeah, they fixed it, leave it alone.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, I can't imagine that. I know in the past that that's always, well, not even in the past, that's always kind of been one of your passions, is to direct, and I know that would be a pain in the ass, even though, I mean, I know it wouldn't deter you, but you'd still be like, well,
Still
what
like,
do I do?
Yeah. Why
And
are
it's
you
not-
making me cut out what I love?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like the old days where you could just be like George Romero and be like, fine, I'll release it uncut. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it won't, and the reason why that is because that's considered an X and it won't be played in most theaters.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess on the last note of that, on a sidetrack to a sidetrack to a sidetrack, Adam Green had that problem when, what did he release? I think it was Hatchet 2. I could be misquoting. It's either 1 or 2, but I think it's 2. And he was able to get past that MPAA bullshit just enough, and he was able to do it on like his opening weekend, and it was in a theater, unrated, first time since Dawn of the Dead. But because there was a lot of politics in that between the studio that released it and the MPAA, and because he was advertising it as unrated, he didn't know until it was too late, but he wasn't supposed to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They were it's almost like they're kind of doing it under the radar. Like, are they going to notice? But because he had to do those and he already did it and everything, that they did notice, and the movie was in the theater, I think, for a day or maybe 2, and it got pulled.
Jeez.
But yeah, anyway, this podcast is not a sidetrack podcast. It is about My Bloody Valentine 1981. As I said, I'm not going to go through detail by detail. We'll go through here and there and just talk about it as we go. I will say this. This is a starting thing. What do you have that you watched for My Bloody Valentine? Do you have a DVD, I assume?
Yeah, well, it sucks because not too long ago, like, a bunch of my movies disappeared, and it's a long story.
Oh, man.
So tonight I put it on Hulu just because it was there. I was at my desk.
It was there.
Yeah, it made my life so much easier. And
Right.
I'm trying to look at my shelf now, and I'm not seeing it, so I'm not sure if it's in another pile or if it's gone.
That sucks. However, there is the Scream Factory that is finally uncut on Blu-ray. So
I've been looking at it for a while.
Go to buy it or whatever.
Yeah.
Buy it. It's a great. I bought. It came out. It actually came out this year around Valentine's Day. So pretty great.
Nice.
That's the one I watched.
Nice.
But yeah, right off the bat, I love the first kill. I don't know on the version that you watched how much they showed of it, but the kill with the woman with the heart-shaped tattoo on her chest, and she gets like pushed through. Is it a hook or a spike? It's something like that.
The axe pick.
Yeah. It was through the
or pickaxe. There we go.
Yeah, through the pickaxe. We know words.
Yeah. It's
that's not
almost
a poke
2
at
in the
you.
morning.
I can barely speak English half the time.
Yeah.
In the uncut version, it pushes through the heart, like you can actually see it poking through the skin, but it goes all the way through the skin, and some of the heart comes out.
Oh, nice. The Hulu one, you see the tip come out just enough, and then they cut to cut away from it.
Right, yeah, because I think that's the R-rated version, because it almost like you see it kind of poking through the skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it the way it was meant to be is it goes all the way through, and you see her heart. It's pretty badass.
Nice.
Then from there, it goes to a group of friends that all work in the mines, that, like we were talking about. They get out of work and they go like where their girlfriends are, and they're setting up like this Valentine's Day party, which is the first time in 20 years, and that's when they start talking about like the backstory and everything of what happened with. I'll know it as we get on because I wrote it down, but I always forget his last name. But because of what happened with Harry, he was also a guy that worked in the mines, who was assumed to be the killer.
Harry Warden.
Harry Warden, yeah. And then, what are some other things like around that time? There's so many characters in this movie that it's hard to keep track of them. At least that's my opinion, like with their names.
Oh yeah.
So some of their names I'm going to know, and some of their names I'm not going to know. But you'll know where I am, and if people have seen it, they'll know where I am. Or if you see it because of this, yeah. But the one line with the girl, the guy that they go to the hall, and they're setting up for that Valentine's Day dance, which I still kind of find funny. It almost reminds me of The Mutilator with Fall Break, because I've never heard of a Fall Break. I guess that's Thanksgiving. But them doing a Valentine's Day dance. Who the fuck does a Valentine's Day dance? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. You've been to more places, but I've never really heard of it. I mean, I guess in like a school when you're little, but
yeah, I was gonna say like maybe middle school, junior high, but not a whole town on a weekend.
They must really love Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But I love the line with the girl of the guy he's hitting on her, and she's at the table trying to set up, and she says, what does she say? Because he's getting all chummy with her and like trying to hit on her, and he says like, suck it in and zip it up, or something like that. That's a good line. And then what else do we got from there? I love the guy that comes out trying to look all dead and bloody, and scares them. It's the first like jump scare, sort of. And then that same guy comes out and gives the mayor a package that someone left for him, and it has for Valentine's Day. And what did it say? It read, I can't remember the whole thing, but comes a war. I wish I remembered the whole thing. There comes a warning with a bloody good cheer. I remember what happened when the 14th draws near. And he opens it, and it's a real heart covered in blood, which they, not from there, but they do go to the corner and like try to find out. And I guess it's like a roughly 30-year-old woman's heart, like it's a real heart and stuff. And they then like tell a bit of a backstory, I guess, like 30 years ago, what exactly happened, and there was an accident in the mine, and no one heard it because they were having their town Valentine's Day party. It sounds like I'm picking on the movie. I love the movie.
Yeah.
That part of it, I'm like, yeah.
A little confusing.
But yeah, and yeah, there he was basically like the mine collapsed, and the guy Harry Warden, is that what you said? He's found like eating body parts and stuff, and that's another part that I was curious about because we both pretty much just watched it. What do you remember from that? Like, did it get too graphic in that scene? Did it show him like gnawing on like an arm or a leg?
Yeah, he was like sitting in the corner eating the leg, and it wasn't too like graphic, but he's definitely eating it, definitely blood.
Okay, that one I'd have to like kind of compare, because I don't know if that one's that much different, but yeah, that was a pretty gnarly scene. It almost like it's definitely reminiscent of like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And then he gets put in a mental institution, and a year later he comes back and kills the two supervisors who left their posts the year before and cut out their hearts and put them in a box, just like he did with the mayor. I think he's the mayor. I've seen this movie quite a few times, but it's not like some where I'm like, yeah, I know it, but I'm pretty sure he's the mayor. That gets the box with the heart in it. Uh, and then I like the part two where the bartender tells the story, and the main guys are just laughing at him, like the guys from the mine. Like he's trying to tell it almost like all I don't know if you'll know exactly who I mean because I don't know how many you've seen in the Friday the 13th, but it's almost reminiscent, even though he's the bartender. He's that classic 80s slasher character that's just like telling you that you're all doomed and you're all gonna die, basically.
Hmm.
There definitely seems to be jealousy, which doesn't sound too important, maybe, between TJ and Axel about what's her name, Sarah. Um,
Hmm.
and then you find out a little bit later that it's because TJ left, and then she ended up starting going out with Axel, which again, it doesn't sound like too interesting, but it's important to the plot. Um, they what's the let's see. I said about the coroner. There's also a kill that is pretty good that I'm not sure um, how much is shown in the R-rated version. And you would think I've only seen the uncut version twice, but it's so ingrained in my head that it was like that is amazing that I'm forgetting that. But the kill with all I took her as is the mayor's wife, I guess, in the
Hmm.
laundromat. Or she just worked for the town. I'm not exactly sure who she was.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
positive on that one.
but she gets they don't show where, but quote unquote, and that's not it's kind of foreshadowing, but quote unquote, Harry kills her with the pickaxe. You don't see where, but she the um oh, now I'm spacing. The sheriff comes back and he smells something in the laundromat, and he smells something. He smells like something burning, and she's in the dryer. I don't know how much that is showed in the R-rated version, but there's quite a bit shown in the uncut version.
They show like the door flies open, she kind of falls
Okay,
out, and it's like a quick glimpse of her. It doesn't linger at all.
okay. In the uncut version, it lingers, and you see it spin around like two or three times.
Oh,
So
jeez.
she like spins around, thud, spins around, thud. Like it's much more graphic. Um, oh, what is his name? The guy, the all I remember the mustache guy. Like
Oh
what the
yeah.
fuck is his name?
Hollis.
Hollis.
Yep.
I kept mixing his name up with Mike. I don't know. This doesn't have to do with the story, but it's kind of a interesting side note that maybe only to us it's interesting or kind of funny. But I watched My Bloody Valentine with my brother Daniel um, years and years ago, and when he first saw him, he was so fixated on him because he's like, "That's like Dad when he was that age." And then I never thought of it before. Excuse me. But then the more I looked at him, I'm like, "You're not. You're right. Like that's so weird." Like her dad looked like that. He had a mustache. His hair was a little long. He was chubby, and it was just funny. And nothing
Right
really
on.
weird. um, And then what was another thing that I thought was interesting? Oh, when it comes up on the screen to the point where it's Friday the 13th, like the day before Valentine's Day, but they had to put it in there like it was almost like a little like, hey, check this out, like because it was the everything, and not everything, but a lot of the major stuff happened the day after Friday the 13th, which happened to be
Hmm.
Valentine's Day, so it's a weird like connection. I always thought that was cool. Um,
Hmm.
what else? And then the mayor and the sheriff are trying to find out where and if Harry Warden is dead because they're certain it's Harry. Like they're all convinced. Um, I basically just have quick little notes. Like I said, I didn't go into too much detail. Um, this part isn't that important, but it kind of pertains to the end. Sarah's talking to Patty about TJ and the whole TJ and Axel thing, and this doesn't pertain to that. But again, with the thing I said about Daniel, I actually always thought the actress who played Patty was pretty hot. Maybe it's just me, but I thought she was hot. So they're going to go all over the place. We're going to say personal things. We're going to,
Yeah.
hey, isn't that what we do anyway? Hey, this isn't the first one. Whoa, I'm on the same page. Uh, let's see. I know, like, there was one part where they're told. See, that's why I'm jumping around, because there's not really anything detail-wise to explain, because it kind of it doesn't jump around, but it's just little things like when the sheriff tells them that there's going to be no dance, but then they get to the bar and then they're like, well, we're going to have a dance, and then they go there anyway, like just to party.
Yeah.
And then what's another significant scene? Like when Axel goes after TJ after work, with their whole jealousy relationship thing because of Sarah, and he just I love how, and that's total reminiscent of like the time thing, but yet at the same time she's still going willingly, but I love when TJ just throws her in the car and doesn't say anything. He's just like, just get in. Like, we need to talk. Just get in. But she almost seems like she's not scared or anything. She's just like, okay, then. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, this is happening.
Yeah. And they go to, like, front area. And there's a line that I like with the bartender that kind of like the Friday the 13th, you're all doomed with be aware of what you make fun of, you little asshole, when they're just talking at the thing and they're just treating Harry like, it's just, who cares, it's in the past, it's a myth, or it's this or that. And then, like, since they can't have a normal party, as I said, they go to the hall to have their party anyway. Before this, I think it was when the bartender went to the mining area. I think it's the bartender. He looks like the bartender that goes to the mining area and he gets killed. Is that the bartender? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I think it is, but
he looks like it.
It looks just like him, but now I'm second guessing it.
Yeah, me too. Every time I see it, I second guess, like, is that him, or is this like some, like, could he be almost like a guard there? Like, I'm not sure. But that's definitely something that was caught considerably violence-wise, and that's again where I'll stop. What did you see with his kill? Do you remember? Like with the pickaxe, did it show it go like underneath his, like, I guess his chin or his jaw kind of thing?
Yeah, you see, it goes under his jaw, like right through like the soft part of his jaw, and then it cuts, and then the next part you see a little bit sticking out of his mouth.
Okay.
But I don't remember it being too bad. Like, I remember the remake of it being way worse than this one.
Right. Okay. In the unrated version, it shows it going through the bottom and stays on him and continues to, like, protrude through his face and out his eyeball, and his eyeball is stuck on the end of the pickaxe.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. What else is from there? Like, the the silliest kill in the movie, all I'll say is the boiling hot dog kill. Yes, his face gets it, and it's found in the fridge, but it's still funny on the surface when it first happens. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's going after everybody with a pickaxe, and he's doing all these big kills, but that one he just drowns them in hot water.
Yeah, I mean, that would be brutal, I guess, if it happened to you, but
it would suck, but
it would suck, but it's still funny in a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Something similar, I think. I don't remember that exactly, but I think something similar happened in Sleepaway Camp, but that was after this, so maybe they got an idea from this movie. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Again, this is just quick little things I have. The sheriff gets another box that's covered in blood that, like, dogs are eating and stuff, and it has a note that you didn't stop the party. When they're having the party now at the hall, and of course TJ and Axel get into it, which I didn't go into too much detail of this, but basically what they keep getting into is because when TJ left town, but when he was in town, he was with Sarah, and he kind of just walked away from that, and sort of. So Axel's her boyfriend, which is the point for me where I got thinking, like, one of those, like, whodunit moments, like, is it Harry or is it TJ? Like, it's almost like like, I don't know about you, I don't know if you got that, but it's almost like they kind of sway you in that direction. Like, it would make sense.
Well, I have a fun fact for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently they didn't tell the cast who the killer was, and the guy who ends up being the killer only realized because they fitted him for a prosthetic arm towards the end of the movie.
Oh, wow. So it was like right at the end, like he had no idea through the whole movie. That's awesome.
Yeah, so everybody was clueless for it.
Oh, perfect. So that would be cool, because the actor that played who the killer is, which we'll get there. Spoiler alert. He, which we didn't say that at the beginning, but it's fine. We'll say it when we post it. But that's very interesting, because that would have me think that he's just acting normal throughout the movie, and not like, oh, I know that I'm the killer, so I'm going to start at, like, certain things. Maybe they'll try not to, but that's just a thought. But who is it? I know that. What is the guy's name? You would think I remember this because he reminds me and my brother of my dad. But what was his name again with the mustache? Chubby mustache guy. Hollis.
Yeah.
Breaks the fight up, and Axel leaves, and TJ tries to console Sarah, but she's done and she doesn't even care. I don't remember who it was in the boiling water, but as I said, his head is in the fridge. But again, there's quite a few characters. I'll back up. Was that in the R-rated version? Do you remember his head in the fridge?
His whole body was in the fridge. He was tucked on, like, the bottom shelf.
Oh, wow, even better. I didn't notice that going through this time, so I did forget that.
Oh.
Okay, good addition, because I just saw his head real quick. But that was definitely kind of cool. Like, add into the really kill, and then, like, oh, well, his body parts are in there. That's cool. I mean, his face did melt off, so I guess if the water's boiling enough, that is pretty brutal. But on the surface, you're like, really? Anyway, there's so many great kills. Pretty much all of them, I guess, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like and this is again where I don't remember these guys' names, but the girls kill when she's kind of like fooling around with her boyfriend, like the redhead guy, and she, quote unquote, Harry grabs her face and shoves it like through a sprinkler thing.
Yeah, it's the shower head.
Oh, the shower head. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yep.
See, I haven't seen this as much as some movies, and I always, for some reason, didn't connect those, because don't they use the shower earlier in the movie? Is that why you remember that?
Oh,
okay.
Earlier, and then I think they're running when he drags her in there, and then in the R version, you see him kind of like push her up, and then it cuts.
Okay.
But I remember that one being more brutal.
Yeah, definitely. It's even brutal in the R-rated cut. In the uncut version, I believe he pushes it all the way through.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know why I didn't put that together, but I guess when you see it back, that's all I can think of, is because there's little knobs and stuff. So I'm like, is that like a sprinkler or something? But that would make sense. They got a shower, they get like black. So
yeah.
And at this point, it seems that TJ and Axel are kind of working together to save the other ones, because a bunch of them went into the mime. And why do I keep saying mime? That it's not a mime, like that's fucking silent. A mine that were at the party, but then went there, like some of the main characters, like Sarah and stuff. And they tried to. And I keep saying that, like, I'm trying not to give away anything until we get there. But when I say they look like they're working together, Anyway, I'm rambling. Um, and like light bulbs start breaking. I know that. I
Oh,
don't remember what the reasoning for that was. I don't know if you remember, like, with
he
somebody in there doing it.
yeah, the killer was walking down and he was shattering him with his pickaxe.
Okay.
Yep, and I actually really love that. Like it,
Yeah, definitely.
like the intimidation of it and trying to make it dark. Like it's such a cool, quick shot.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
That was definitely cool. You had more information than I did for that one, so awesome.
Yeah, well,
Um,
and they do that one in the remake too, and it's
yeah, yeah,
almost the same shot, and I love it so much.
yeah, definitely, absolutely. Um, that was a good addition. Really like that shot too.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. The group finds TJ and tells them uh, what's going on, and Hollis runs off. Hey, I remembered his name. Hollis runs off to find Mike and Harriet, I think.
yep,
Okay, were they the ones that, like, is Mike the redhead or no? Or Mike and Harriet are dead.
yeah. They scoot off, and
Okay.
I think they're in the minecart. Like that one, I read that one they don't actually show the kill. Like
Right.
that
Okay.
footage was cut.
That's why it doesn't make sense, and I was confusing them because there's so many characters with, like, again, I can't remember her name, but the girl that gets shoved on what I thought was the sprinkler, and you definitely, I'll remember that now that it was the shower. I was
Mhm.
confusing those two with them is for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of throw the Mike and Harriet in there, and it's just quick. Like, oh, they're dead.
Yeah, right. It's pretty much like, okay, do we know Mike and Harry? Oh, they're dead. It doesn't really matter. They're dead.
Yeah.
Uh, Um, oh, what's another one that's, it's not, I guess it's brutal, but it's not like visually brutal, but like in your head when quote unquote Harry is loading the nail gun and he gets Hollis.
Yeah.
What does he get him in the temple and then the forehead or some shit?
Yeah, and
Um,
he kind of stumbles off, and he's still alive for like a couple of minutes.
he is too. He makes it back to the group before he like completely collapses and
Yeah.
yeah, and his girlfriend, what the fuck was her name? The one I thought was hot. How dare I? I think she's hot and I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's freaking out.
Patty.
And Patty, yep.
Mhm.
Thanks. You're good with names, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
have it up on my screen.
I'm, oh, perfect. Good.
I'm cheating.
You're professional. I'm not. I got it. And not in a bad way, in a good way. Any, but anyway, yeah, Patty's freaking out, of course, because that was
Mhm.
her boyfriend, and Sarah tries to snap her out of it, and Alex finds them, and he's like, Harry Warden is down here, I think. We gotta go, or some shit like that, almost like getting them to go further, which is kind of foreshadowing again, because it's Axel. But Axel hits someone with a log. I don't know why I like that scene, but you see TJ coming and you see the log, and I'm like, he can't see him, but I would also
Yeah.
understand if he could, like he did that on purpose.
Yeah. And I love the way that was shot because like you don't quite know yet who the killer is, and you
Sure,
see
exactly.
both of these miners on either side. It's done so well. It pulls the whole like it pulls the tension together, and then the log hit. I like that shot a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's one thing. Like I will say, the movie doesn't have a lot of detail and it's straight to the point, but it's directed great. It's the director of photography did amazing shots.
Yeah,
Um, it's written well, even though there's not a lot of like, like there's not too much detail to get in the way. I think the only thing really that as a viewer after a few times you're still like, who's this? Because there's so many characters. But
yeah,
other than that, it's just great. Other than that, like, and that's not even really a bad thing. Like, it doesn't take you out of the movie. You just have those moments of like, who's that again?
yeah.
But
Well, and they're not good about like telling you names like right away.
right, exactly. So
Mhm.
as you're going, you're kind of guessing like, who's this guy? Who's this
Yeah,
girl? Like, they're just there. but yeah, the sheriff then ends up at the mines, but he can't get the the elevator thing up, which we find right after that it's broken. TJ, Axel, Sarah, and Patty find the elevator broken, as I just said, and they climb up I guess that's like an emergency ladder for when the elevator doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty is freaking out, and at some point she won't go further, and this and that, and this is again with, we may have known who this character is. I'm never quite sure exactly who it is, but the one that falls, and he looks like he's being hung, but he doesn't have enough left of his neck, and his head gets ripped off. I don't know how much is shown in the R-rated version again, because I don't remember, which I keep saying that, like, I just thought of that. Some people thinking, why, have you only seen the unrated version? No. But that's what I watch now, so I can't remember.
It's fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
It does a couple quick cuts, so you definitely get the idea, like the head popped off, and then you see the body drop, and you hear like another thud, but it happens so quick, you kind of put it together.
Okay, in the unrated, the uncut, you see the head completely get ripped off, and then you see the thud really hard. You don't just hear it. So there's that.
Man.
But yeah, like I said, just check it out. Scream Factory put it out. Like you said, you're like, oh man, I can't find whatever movies or for whatever reason, but it happens. Then they then go all the way back down the ladder, and Axel says that he knows a shortcut or something like that. I can't remember what he says. Tells TJ to bring the girls over, and Axel then sounds like he gets killed, and he's thrown in the water, I guess. Like, you don't see that part. It's almost like his ploy to kind of distract you, I guess. Like he drowned or he's dead. TJ then tells the girls to continue on. Like, they're like, stick to the side of the wall and stuff like that. And those scenes were back to back, so it was like back to back. Like, wait, okay, so he's dead. So you're still at that point continuing that, thinking that it's TJ. Like, it's almost like, I want you to go. Like, why is he sending them off by themselves? You don't send people off by themselves, or you don't go off by yourself in a horror movie. Because, Matthew Lillard said it best in Scream, I'll be right back, because you know what? You won't be back. I'll find you in the kitchen with a knife. Anyway, that's a different movie. Anyway, we're getting towards the end of the movie. And they're trying to get away from, like, I guess out of nowhere, this scene's kind of quick, if I remember, but it could also be that I was kind of skimming through so we could get to this because I've seen it. But that scene was kind of abrupt, I guess, where Sarah and Patty are trying to get away, and then Patty gets the pickaxe like in the stomach. You don't see, even in the uncut, you don't see as much. Like, you see it, but you don't see as much like graphic detail. But her reaction, like, she did that scene so well that you knew what happened. Like, even if you didn't see it, like, I thought she did really well in that scene.
There was real pain on her face with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Real pain, real, like, shock, and like, oh my god, like, I'm gonna die. Like, yeah, you could just see it in her face, like it was actually happening.
Yeah.
It's at this point that Sarah and TJ are getting chased by someone. Is it Harry? A fight ensues between TJ and Harry. Question mark. In the midst of the fight, Sarah unmasks the killer in one of those classic 80s slasher movies, and you realize that it's not Harry. Harry died 5 years ago, which the sheriff tells you in a little bit. And it's actually Axel, which every time I see this movie, I know that it's him once you've seen it, but it's still a really cool twist. Because all this time you think it's TJ, you think it's TJ, they're throwing you off.
Yeah.
Like, you think it could be TJ, and then there's some scenes where they're like, oh, well, maybe it's Harry. But for the most part, I personally was like, it's TJ.
Yeah.
But the group then goes in and tries to like I don't remember what happens. Like a struggle ensues, and then like the roof collapses on Axel, and then a bunch of the guys that I skipped that part, but again, I wasn't going scene by scene with this one. A bunch of like the guys with the sheriff and the mayor and stuff got all the way down where they were in the mine. Hey, I said mine, and 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 once that all collapses, this is a scene I know is not in the R-rated version. I'm pretty sure,
Mm.
where you see Axel's arm. Now, what do you see in the R-rated version from that point? Do you see his arm covered in rubble, or
No, they don't. They don't show his arm at all. He kind of
oh
gets
wow,
up, and you see like he's missing a chunk. Um,
okay,
but that's it. They don't. They don't show any more. So you assume he lost it somehow.
okay. In the uncut version, it is a million times more graphic. You see
Oh.
his arm covered in rubble, right?
Mm.
Sarah comes up and holds his hand because she's like, "Oh no," she still loves him and everything, right? And then they proceed to show a shot of the other side where he is, like on the other side of the rubble.
Mm.
And I don't know what he has. I don't know I don't think it's the pickaxe, but he has something sharp. He proceeds, and they show it, to cut off his arm. And that's how he loses his arm when you see it in the R-rated version and he's running away.
Oh.
And I definitely, yeah, it's brutal. Even when I was like, holy shit, that's so much more. But
Oh man.
yeah, you definitely got to get that version.
Yeah.
I do, and we're coming to the end of the movie. I will say I do love the last line where he's like, oh, what was TJ's last name? Hedger or something like that. He basically says, I'll be waiting in hell for you. Harry, I'm coming. This whole fucking town is gonna die, and we'll be coming back, you bastards. Then his voice changes a little bit. I do like that part. And he has like this weird laugh. And he's like, Sarah, be my Bloody Valentine. And then he like laughs.
Yeah.
And then he starts singing. Like that whole part right there, it's so quick, but it's so amazing. Like he starts singing like Daddy's Gone Away and Harry Warden Made You Pay. He starts singing. Oh man, that's just it's one of the best endings in any slasher movie ever, which is so crazy that it's still that underrated when it has an ending like that.
Yeah. And it's cool watching him like totally slip. Like at that point he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Like
Yeah.
beforehand, he's holding it together. He's trying to be like, "Oh, I'm just one of you," but yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man. But I always love that twist because they could have just went with the obvious, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, first you think it's Harry, and then you think it's TJ, and then you're like, "Holy shit, it's actually Axel." It's kind of reminiscent of Italian giallos, where those are totally like whodunit suspense movies with like horror touches and like violence, but they have those moments where you think it's this person, then you think it's this person, then you think it's this person. That's the only thing that I think it really has in common with a giallo. I mean, giallos are kind of pre-slashers in Italian movies, but just now actually that popped into my head. But I just love the, like, you don't have it figured out the whole time. You think you do, but
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that was my Bloody Valentine. I think we did pretty good. I almost, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I almost have a little bit more fun when I don't go in quite as much detail.
Yeah.
And we go off on our tangents. We should, like, not forcefully, like it would be naturally, but it's nice to go off on those tangents. So hopefully naturally we can do that a little bit more. Not force it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to force it. We've done so many things and heard so many things or think of this or that whenever either one of us think of it, we'll just say it.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Mm.
But I have a few more facts, but before that, we'll do our usual. What would you star it out of 5 stars?
Ah, man. I even with its flaws, I'd probably still give it a 5 because the
Awesome.
twist, it keeps you
Yeah.
enthralled. The kills are so good. Um, yeah, I would definitely say 5.
Nice. And it's so underrated, and like it
Yeah.
deserves that. I'm so close, but for one of the first times, I'm not quite to 5. But it's only because of those little things. It deserves a 5, but I'm close. I'm like 4.5.
Yeah.
So I'm close. I'm close. But then my brain gets comparing it to, which is stupid. But like, well, do you like it as much as this, or you like it? But that's cool. That's cool.
Mm.
It's definitely one of those movies, and I'm definitely excited to do the remake. Maybe that can be our next one. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But that would be fun because it's a remake, but it's not the same movie. But it
Yeah.
has some of the same things. Like yeah. I don't know if I could say. I don't know. I think you might have said it. Like you like it a little bit more or not. I'm not sure. But do you like the remake more? You think, or are they kind of on the same plane? Like they're kind of equal?
It's tough. I'd say I don't know.
Maybe
I'd say
I was gonna say maybe have to rewatch it again to like completely give a full answer, or
yeah, I'd say they're pretty much on the same plane, but I definitely have to rewatch it because I know I really liked it, and for a remake, I was like, this is like they did a good job with it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
as I've said, I'm not too huge on remakes, but that's one of the top remakes for sure.
yeah.
Anyway, you were gonna say, or you were trying to say,
Um,
or maybe
no,
you weren't.
my
No, I
brain's
wasn't.
like, nah.
Yeah, it's late. It's school.
Yeah.
um, but if you're cool, I'll go with a couple more like quick little facts,
Yeah.
and we'll call it a podcast.
Yeah, sounds good.
Um, this one was definitely fun, and we got to do some more like this because I was definitely coming to the point of like I want what am I trying to say? I want like a certain like pattern to it, like we do this and we do that, but I think it's more fun just being spontaneous and just
Yeah.
doing what we do, almost like when we still live near each other and we went on adventures. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Like that's more fun to me. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to do a direction, just much because we initially talked about it like being loose, and then I got much more constrained in it, and then
Mm.
after a while I was like, okay, I feel like this is homework. This is not what I wanted to,
Yeah, you want to enjoy it. Well, and I feel like being more loose on it is oh man, my brain just shut off.
It's cool. I know what you're saying. Like being
Yeah.
more loose with it, like we can go on our tangents. We
Yeah.
can do whatever we want. We can talk about this. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we just get right back to what we were talking about, and then we can do it again in a couple minutes. Like
Yeah.
yeah. I have the most fun with that.
Yeah. Well, oh, that's what I was gonna say. And I think
Okay.
people listening, like in my head, it's like it gives them a little more reason to go watch it.
Sure.
Instead of
Absolutely.
like, well, I just watched it because they told me.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um. Let's see. What do I got? Producers Andre Link and John Dunning said that the film's origin came about when they sought to find a holiday which a slasher had not been set during the slasher flick boom, which is interesting considering it was only 81, but they just kept coming and coming like
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, and they may not have been on the time, but off the top of my head, like Graduation Day, and wow, I'm blanking, but there's so many like holiday ones. There's Christmas ones. There's Silent Day, Deadly Night. There's like every holiday that you can think of. Happy Birthday to Me. But there was tons of those.
Yeah.
And I could see maybe you know what maybe that could have been part of the reason why this wasn't as more in the forefront and it was so underrated because could it have got lost in the slew of those in
Yeah.
like the VHS days where people are just picking what they could find, and it was just like like on the surface you might think like, oh no, it's another one of those, like after you watch like 10 of them or something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not. It's definitely, I highly recommend it, and I'd say we both gave it pretty high stars. I'm surprised that I wasn't quite to 5, but it's cool that you were, because some it's usually the other way around. So that was cool. Anyway,
usually I'm picky.
I know, right? All right, I was in the middle of a fact, another tangent. Sidetrack again. We'll do an episode called Sidetrack. Anyway, maybe not. That's just a joke, but maybe we will. Anyway, the producers, I'm not going to say their names again, basically trying to figure out what other holiday they can do in the slasher flick boom of the early 80s. They settled on Valentine's Day, and in order to keep the idea from being copied, they made the film, which this is a common thing, especially with like Friday the 13th and stuff, to keep it secret. And at the time, you can tell how big certain movies were, like the Friday the 13th, because they still had to keep the title secret. Because in this day and age, you would think, and not you would think, it's so much harder because of the internet.
Yeah.
They didn't have that back then, and they were still having trouble. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, they made the title The Secret, though they had the title in mind the whole time.
Nice.
So that was kind of to the point. It's a secret. One of the makeup designers once shipped a dummy corpse to the set in a coffin, which caused much alarm when it arrived at a Canadian customs.
Right on.
This one I'm reading for the first time. I didn't know that. That's hilarious. Let's see. George, I think I already said his name. Maybe not. Mihalka, I'm butchering his name probably, approached Paramount in 2001 with a synopsis for a sequel, but due to poor box office records with the original film, they declined. So there was a chance that there could have been a sequel. However, I don't know how you feel about this. I would have accepted it and embraced it, but certain movies, not all, but certain movies, when it's been so long, I'm like, do I really want one?
Yeah.
Like this movie was good on its own. I really think that it would have been cool to have sequels, sure, but at that time, like, go ahead.
I
You sound like you're gonna say something.
Maybe if it was like 30 years later kind of thing.
Good point.
Like I could
they
see
did
that.
do 30 years on this, so actual 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, like
point.
I could see that working. Like everything's updated in real life, like a different mind, like that kind of thing. But no, like that's a long time for an 80s slasher to get a sequel.
And hell, even 30 years later, they could have done another twisty thing where on this sequel, you're assuming it's Axel, and then it could be somebody else. Like, they could have tried that again. I don't know if that'd be hokey, but they could have, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely interesting. I mean, and they ended up going with ended up doing a remake, because that's just what they do now. But at least that's something. It's not real. It's not a sequel. Kind of like the quote unquote remake of Friday the 13th. To me, isn't a sequel. It's more. I mean, isn't a remake. It's more of a sequel to me. They have certain things in it, like they try to wrap up 1, 2, 3, 4 at the beginning. But from there, to me, it could have just been a sequel. But that's just me. But I guess where I meant with certain movies is I don't mind personally when they come back with, and this could just be me on my own island, but like I know it's been this long, and I don't know if like as a kid you watch like say Bill and Ted movies, but they came back when they're like older and they have kids and stuff like that. That was fine for me. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to. Like, that didn't bother me that it was that much later, because they explain why it's later, and like it's now,
they're
and
grown
like,
up.
that's fine. Yeah. The caption near the beginning states Thursday, February 12th, indicating that the dance will be on Saturday the 14th. That means Friday the 13th falls in between. That I did mention in the middle. In the ending credits, the song line says, "And those still alive know the secret survives," like in that song. Like I said, that it kind of sums up the song. like the movie. This is interesting. I'll start that again. And those still alive know the secret survives. This is referring to the movie's original intended. It wasn't intended, but the original originally title that they when I said the secret. So that was referring to it. So that's interesting. And my last one, My Bloody Valentine 1981, was filmed in Sydney mines during Kate Breton's economic crisis with Sydney Steel Corporation. They had pollution problems and were trying to decide whether or not to shut the factory down. Oh. It was thought that the filming of My Bloody Valentine would promote tourism in the Providence, but it wasn't very effective. Meaning, like, they probably didn't want people to come in and everything, and if they had that pollution, but it ended up happening, so that's good. But yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have any more.
All right.
Yeah.
Did I say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, going back, I know 1981 to 2001 isn't 30 years, but it takes a long time to start a movie and get it going. So I don't, just in case anybody wants to call me out on that one.
Good point. Good call. All right. If you don't have anything else, I'm good to go, and we'll call it a podcast.
Yeah, that was a good one.
This was a very good one. I was very, very excited for it. This has been the Horror of It All Movie Podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm still Adam.
Until next time.